Last time in this series, we found that Matt Kenseth would win the 2013 championship in his first season racing for Joe Gibbs. Now in the 11th episode of this 13-part series, we take a look at how the 2014 season would have played out with the playoff format in place. Remember that this is just a hypothetical situation. I know they would have raced differently. This is just for fun. Also, some may wonder why I'm covering the 2014, 15, and 16 seasons. Well, I'm doing this because they didn't have stage or playoff points at the time, and it changes the game completely. So with all of this being said, let's take a look at the 2014 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series playoff grid. Starting off, there's NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He makes it in with his second Daytona 500 victory, as well as sweeping Pocono. Kevin Harvick, in his first year with Stewart-Haas Racing, makes it in off wins at Phoenix and Darlington. Brad Keselowski jumps in with his 4 wins at Las Vegas, Kentucky, Loudon, and Richmond. Carl Edwards joins them with his wins at Bristol and Sonoma, and both Busch brothers would lock in their spots with lone wins, Kyle at Auto Club and Kurt getting a clock at Martinsville. Joey Logano got in the grid with his wins at Texas, Richmond, and Bristol, and Denny Hamlin made it in by winning Talladega. Jeff Gordon kept his Drive for 5 alive with wins at Kansas, Indianapolis, and Michigan. Jimmy Johnson's wins at Charlotte, Dover, and Michigan locked him in. Underdog Eric Almirola brought Richard Petty into the playoffs for the first time with a rainout win at Daytona. AJ Allmendinger's first career win at Watkins Glen would punch his ticket in, and Casey Kane would be the final driver to make it in off of wins after his Atlanta triumph. With there being 13 different winners, it left 3 spots open for points. These spots would be occupied by Ryan Newman, defending champion Matt Kenseth, and Jamie McMurray. So heading into the opening round, the grid would roll off like this. The first round taking place at Chicagoland, Loudon, and Dover. At Chicago, Brad Keselowski struck first, winning and locking himself into the second round. Meanwhile, behind him, in the playoff field, they all ran pretty well. Underdog Eric Almirola ran well, but he lost an engine and it pretty much put him in a must-win, it looked like, leaving the first race. Outside of him, the rest of the playoff drivers were in the top half of the finishing order. Most had also scored stage points, leaving the grid as difficult as ever to elevate in. Looking like this heading to New Hampshire. Loudon was far more hectic. Crashes soured the days of a number of playoff drivers, including Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth. Meanwhile, guys lower on the grid like Almirola and Allmendinger closed up the gap with higher finishes. And up front, Joey Logano joined his teammate Keselowski in being safe for the second round with a win. The grid would line up like this at the cut line. At the top, there were 6 guys that basically were in: Kevin Harvick, Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Jamie McMurray. On the other hand, poor performances from Eric Almirola and AJ Allmendinger sealed their fates quickly. Kurt Busch and Casey Kane also ran mediocre, while others on the cut line like Edwards and Newman ran in the top 10. So heading into the second round, the grid would reset like this. The second round would take place at Kansas, Charlotte, and Talladega. Kansas would be an absolute hell for major championship favorites.
Oh, trouble. Jimmy Johnson, I believe. Around, headed for the inside wall. 16 to Greg Biffle around also. And trouble further down the backstretch, 2 other cars.
Uh-oh, something happened to Junior right there.
Off the pace. Out of 4.
He hit it hard.
Right side, all beaten up on the 88 car.
Look and see if that right front tire's down. It just took a right turn right off the corner. Oh, yeah, almost exactly like the 88 car, just a different spot on the track.
Up front, Logano once again came in clutch, winning the race and advancing to the third round. The grid looked like this heading to Charlotte. This race mirrored the one at Chicagoland. Most of the playoff drivers ran up front and or won stage points. The biggest loser being Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had a broken shifter and finished 20th, falling 2 points behind the cut line in 9th. Harvick being the big winner with his clinching victory. Heading into Talladega, the grid lined up like this, with only 6 points separating 6th through 10th. Brad Keselowski would win, sealing his fate of advancement. Ryan Newman was next up in 2nd. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jamie McMurray, Jimmy Johnson, and Matt Kenseth all didn't do enough or crashed and did not seal the deal, all needing others to fail to advance, leaving their fate in others' hands. Due to stage points earned early in the race, Dale Jr. would need both Carl Edwards and Denny Hamlin to fall back and stay in the back of the pack at the end of the Talladega race. They both did, tying 1 point behind Earnhardt. Between the two, Edwards edged out Hamlin on the tiebreaker, making the grid reset like this. The third round would take place at Martinsville, Texas, and Phoenix. After a nail-biting finish to the round of 12, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have an easier round of 8.
Checkered flag and his first Martinsville win. Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes it over Jeff Gordon.
While Jr. was the first to Miami, others like Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick weren't as lucky. So, heading into Texas, 2nd through 8th lined up like this. Once again, the remaining playoff drivers ran up front, the real shakeup having come at the end of the race.
Contact Gordon and Keselowski.
The contact between Gordon and Keselowski bled over to pit road. Gordon's loss of spots put him uncomfortably close to the cutoff. Phoenix would show no change as Logano was high enough up on points to lock in. Gordon's second place run did the job as well as he followed winner Kevin Harvick. These drivers were the ones to join Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the final 4. Through the first stage, all 4 drivers ran inside the top 5, Gordon looking to be the fastest of the top 4 early. Meanwhile, a huge twist was thrown in.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. on pit road for what would be an unscheduled stop from 13th place.
4 tires, guys.
And this soon after a pit stop might tell you that they had a vibration there, Vince.
Yeah, it's a flat tire, so they had to bring Junior in under this green flag here to get those 4 tires changed. So bad break for the 88. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Steve Letarte, his crew chief, working together for the final time here today.
Earnhardt would regain his position, though, later in the race with the contenders, charging into the top 5 with less than 40 to go, while Logano faded and Gordon dominated. The pit lane would decide the championship, though. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a poor stop late. It mired him back in the pack and sealed his fate. Logano's car fell off the jack-down pit road, and it destroyed any semblance of a championship chance. And Gordon? He had a puzzling late-race pit stop from the lead, virtually handing Kevin Harvick the 2014 playoff championship.
He's going to do it. He's going to win the race and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. California's Kevin Harvick does it.
Holy cow! You are the 2014.
It would be his second career championship as he would skate off. 2014's playoff turnout was similar to the real-life one, but playoff points made all of the difference for Jeff Gordon and especially Dale Earnhardt Jr. The final 4 made up for 18 wins of the 36 races, 5 apiece from Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano, 4 for Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. 13 drivers in the playoffs won races, making up every race on the 36 race schedule. The winless drivers on the grid being Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth, and Jamie McMurray. McMurray being the only driver to make the playoffs who didn't make the chase in real life in 2014. He made the most of it, finishing 10th in points. Jimmie Johnson missed the Final Four for the first time ever since 2004. Of the real-life top 10, all but Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch finished there, being replaced by Jimmie Johnson and Jamie McMurray. 3 drivers kept their streaks of being in the playoffs every single year alive for the 11th straight year. Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, and Jimmie Johnson were the drivers to do it. So, with all of this being said, I want to pass this to you. What did you think of the 2014 NASCAR playoffs? Leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more great NASCAR content from my channel. And until next time, have a good one.